Welcome back, folks. Get a grip on life. Are you into sales and business and strategy about selling? Well, this is a good show for you because Desi Ste, who is a super salesman, and I tell a bunch of stories about how we sold stuff and how we built our careers on selling people things. He's also a great guy. He should probably start his own podcast. Did you hear that, Desi? Start your own show. And if you want to do a podcast, go to getagripstudios.com. And if you like our show, please tell a friend. Tell them to go to getagriponlife.com and check out the podcast. iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, everywhere good podcasts are found. But for right now, we got the super salesman, Desi Ste, on the Get a Grip on Life podcast. Welcome to the Life podcast, Desi Ste.
Thank you, Michael Collian.
How are things?
Things are great, man.
Yeah?
Things are great. Having a blast this summer.
How are you? Yeah. When's the last time you worked?
This morning, today, just had a big lunch meeting.
Is that right?
Yeah.
So you're a super salesman. That's what we're billing you as.
Is that right?
That's right.
Super.
How did you get from improv? Start with the improv, and then we'll get into the sales stuff. How did it all start?
Well, I was always doing sales. I did sales because that was the job available to me with my Bachelor of Arts Degree, with a focus in philosophy. I still remember the philosophy department at the University of Western Ontario brought in some people during career day or something to say, hey, look at these guys. They graduated in philosophy. Look where they are. And the one guy was insurance salesman. He sat there. And we were all like, none of us want to be philosophers. This was just a thing to do in university.
Party for 4 years.
Well,
so what was your first sales job?
That's it. So I qualified for selling photocopiers. That was
Xerox?
Oh no, that was you had to be good to do that. I didn't know anything. So got to sell one of the lower brands, one of the third or fourth rate things in the market. But basically that whole experience.
Did you do that subscription photocopier thing?
I did not.
Because that was the biggest scam ever, dude. Like subscribing for your photocopier.
I never did.
No.
Should I have?
No. Yeah. Well, they made a lot of money doing it, but like, who subscribed? Who leases a photocopier? I mean, this thing costs $5,000. It's going to sell for you, and all you have to do is pay $50 a month. Lots of people signed up for that stuff, dude.
It could have been. I think my whole career back in that day was two things. Two things I learned. One, how to talk to people you didn't know.
Sure.
How to just go in cold, and that serves me every day of my life. I even threaten my kids that way. Look, everything you have, everything you're eating, everything you live in, everything, it's clothes you wear is because your dad goes and talks to strangers, even if he doesn't want to. He goes and says hello.
Do you feel nervous before you do it?
I sat in the car for about 3 hours outside of my first appointment. Sat in the.
How old are you?
Well, I was 22.
22. You were scared to go talk to somebody.
They said, here's your week of training. Now go meet the people. Go hit this street. Go to those businesses. Go knock on the door. Tell them what you do. And I sat in that parking lot, and I sat and I stared for, it seemed like hours. I don't know how long it was, but it was basically live or die. It was either go in there or I quit.
Was it a 100% commission job?
It was 100%.
Did you close the first deal you wanted?
No. Months, dude. No, months. It was hard. It was hard knocks. It's funny because later on when I was training and managing other people in different areas of my life, I remember saying, look, you want to do real sales? Get in my car. We're going to go to that building and we're going to start knocking on doors. And the kids, I don't want to do that. I come from inside sales. People call me. No, that's not selling, buddy. That's taking orders.
Yeah, you're an order taker now, buddy.
Yeah, you want to be real sales? Let's go knock on doors. I did that. We did that in Vancouver. I did that in New York City when we sold there too. Just terrified people. But I said, this is what it was. You against you. It was the classic.
It's a mental game, yeah. You're in your head.
Every day, get up and pick up the phone and call people you don't know and have them hang up on you. In fact, I still remember Michael in New York City. Loved the kid. Couldn't sell worth of crap when we first hired him. And he said to me, I just can't get this. I said, Michael, the guy, he's freaking out because he's from Brooklyn. And he goes, the guy hung up on me. He hung up on me. He was all over me. And I said, Michael, you're not going to be any good at this until you get 500 no's.
Yeah, sure.
500 phone calls, 500 no's. And think of it that way. And that's going to take you how long? 3 weeks? I gave him a piece of paper and a checkbox that says, start checking them off. Go make 500 phone calls, get 500 no's, and then you'll be good. And he goes, I tried to get a no today, but I sold something. And,
there you go.
You know, different perspective.
You know, what's funny is I started off, my first sales job was I sold coupons door to door and in parking lots.
Nice.
So I would stand in a parking lot with a bunch of Midas coupons, And then walk up to people like, hey, you know the Midas up the street there? Yeah, is that your car? Yeah. Hey, they're giving away 3 oil changes for $20. Here, hold this. The guy would hold it. It's like, okay, here's how it works. First, you go in 3 times. They change the oil, lube, and filter. Blah, I go through the whole pitch, right, and say, and it's only $20. But okay, what happens now? Okay, right now you give me $20 here in the parking lot. And then when you're ready for an oil change, you give them a call and you bring your car in. And dude, it was so crazy.
They looked at your face and you say, is this kid honest?
Yeah,
they look at you.
So I had a pocket full of quarters, dude. And I'd be like, is this real, man? I'd be like, yeah, dude, let's go call the guy right now. So we go over the payphone, put a quarter in the phone, call up the Midas shop. Midas! And he'd be like, I got a guy in a parking lot here. He's trying to sell me a coupon. Saying, yeah, it's legit. And so I did that, and then I traveled around the...
Did they know it was your dad you were calling the same time?
No, it was the Midas, dude. It wasn't like now. I mean, people would whip out their Visa. We took Visa, Amex, MasterCard. We took checks. We took cash, dude. I'd walk people over to the bank machine. Say, there's a bank machine right over there. Let's go. Come, let's go. Hey, here's a pen. You're going to sign it up right now. Here's a pen. You want green or blue? I'd always have 2 colored pens, and that's how I'd ask me. Green or blue, buddy? And the choice wasn't yes or no; it was green or blue.
And you said, "Here, get a grip on this."
Yeah, brother.
Get a grip.
Get a grip. You know, it was such a. I mean, what happened was you'd show up at the office at 7 in the morning, get all jacked up. First thing is jack up. 5 cups of coffee. We'd have a big meeting.
Oh,
jack.
yeah.
What kind of car are you gonna drive, man? What kind of car are you gonna drive? I want this car. Yeah. You write it on the board. He's gonna get a Ferrari. Whatever. He's gonna get a Ferrari.
That's great.
It was awesome, dude. It was probably the funnest job I ever had because I was really good at it. And I got to run the meetings. I loved running the meetings. And I built a crew, and I actually built a crew in separate cities, in Toronto, and then in Illinois, and then in Florida. I built crews. I went around for the company. They had offices in different places, and I built crews.
And this all by the age of
19.
Wow, that's fun.
Yeah, it was crazy.
See, you're all testosterone, getting jacked up, talking about cars, right?
Yeah, dude. Where are you going? How many are you going to sell today, man? How many coupons are you going to sell today? How many?
Man,
I'm going to do 15. 15, man.
No
what are
way.
you? What's wrong with you, man?
Churn it.
15? What about 20, man? 20. Rehash and double your cash, man. We would get all jacked up and go out there and get after it, dude. It was fun as heck, man. I learned so much. I learned so much about sales.
See, we just had both polar ends of the sales spectrum, and it was all mental. So your mental, getting excited, running out there, taking on the world, right? That's the alpha dog, lots of testosterone. Let's get this done. And my one, sitting in the parking lot by myself, just me and my ego telling me how much I suck. And
that's why you need the juice up in the morning.
This is what we didn't have. They just
need
said
the juice up in the morning, man.
The ultimate line: go out and meet the people. So you against you, no help. I would have loved to work on a team, and just seen everybody. And we did work on a team, but everybody just did their own thing. But it was it was torturous because it was lonely. It gets very lonely. The team aspect makes the difference when you're working for a common good, even though it's co-opetition, right? You're helping these guys, but you're competing against them at the same time to be for whatever prizes, or trying to be the better guy, or the guy that doesn't get fired this month.
Yes.
There's that big.
It's funny how sales, and I don't think there's any difference now. There's something inherently, I don't know what it is, dangerous about sales. Like you always look into the future. What's the next deal? You got to swing through the trees with a knife in your teeth, and everybody's looking to you to close that deal. And so tell me how you became the super salesman, man.
I think through self-reflection and always trying to. There's probably a lot of quips you can say. Well, there's certain things that get you through the hard periods, but just tenacity and realizing that being a salesperson, you do have a lot of control over your own income, for good or for bad, right? I think the first year I spent $23,000 on my living arrangements, and I earned 19 gross. Wasn't a full year, but it was maybe 9 months, 19 grand. Yeah, other guys I was graduating with buying cars and talking about snowmobiles and stuff, and I was just trying to pay my dad back for the short-term loans.
Yeah, sure.
Plus some small university money, loans that I had. But the tenaciousness, but you got to also the self-reflection. You always got to try to improve. One of the things that I heard a long time ago was, look, if you're gonna the best woodsman, the best he's always sharpening his axe. You gotta, if you don't sharpen your axe, now by the end you're just swinging a piece of blunt steel at a tree, and you're never going to cut it down. So you got to take time, go refresh, re-educate, always try to learn. Hell, I remember Brian Tracy tapes and Zig Ziglar tapes.
Sure, Zig Ziglar. I remember Ziggy.
Brian Tracy was
awesome.
bad for me. Yeah, and you know, these guys, they get you through because they're back to pumping you up. Those tapes in the car were my 7 espressos. You can do this. You're the best at it. I remember Brian Tracy talking about, you know, when he was a kid, a young teenager selling soap. And he just had that one line. He'd run up to people like you in a parking lot. Hey, you want to buy this special soap? It's only for good-looking people. And they'd buy it because it was a nickel or whatever like that.
Yeah, he was kind of you know, it's funny if you can make people smile. I remember when I was training people for ad effects. So every day you train somebody. That's how it was. Sometimes I took 2-3 people out with me we called it a day of observation.
Sure.
Okay. So you'd come in for your day of O. You'd hear the meeting going on, people screaming and yelling about their goals and going just completely nuts. It was crazy. The music was cranked up as high as it could go. And you'd have different theme days. Some days be rock. Some days be arguing about what's the best and when are you going to buy your Corvette and this kind of stuff, right? This is how it was. And then you grab you're with me, you're with me, you're with me. Let's go. Boom. And we hit the day of, I'd bring them out with me or whatever. And we go and you're going to stand in a parking lot? Yeah, man. Watch me make $250 cash today. You want to do that? Watch this. And I'd work. And then every day, you know, 9 guys out of 10 would quit. And one guy would be like, dude, you just made $250 cash. This is 1996.
That's like we're 255 now.
Maybe 355, right? So he's like, you just made $255 cash? I'm like, yep. Watch, we're going to go settle up. And then you go at the end of the day, you'd settle up and get paid cash. Right? So you go in the room and the day of O be sitting there. He goes, yeah, he just handed you $255. I said, yep. And then that guy would come back. And then you'd tell him, look, all I want you to do today, son, is go out and make 100 people smile. If you can make 100 people smile today, you're going to make a living. And it was the guys that could get past that, where it was like, you got to walk up to strangers and see if you can make them smile. So
it wasn't about success or failure. It was, you were right. You're trying to change the goalpost because it is a success. As I told Michael in New York, it was a success just to make the phone call. You didn't have to sell anything. So go and get hung up on. But you're getting that experience. So go make the smiles, and before you know it, you failed at making them smile, and you got their money instead. But you know, one of the things that makes people smile is, and that's critical. I think that's my biggest theme. As if you were to define, if I were to define who I am, is I always tried to know a little bit about everything. I was a big reader, always took sopped up information. So when you sat down with people, you could always find common ground.
Sure.
Common ground. And as long as, and this is the big one I still tout, 2 days is listen. You got to listen to people. They'll tell you everything. Because sales is like a poker game. You got 5 cards. I can see them from here. Don't show your cards. You keep them close to your chest. There you go. I got mine here. Right? Now we have to decide what we're going to bet. But we can allowed to talk to each other before we do that. And if I can convince you, and a good salesman will, I can convince you to lay down your entire hand before I actually bet. You know, because and some of it's that simple. Hey, what's your favorite color of cards? Red. Do you have any of those reds? Yeah, I got these 3. Oh, no kidding. Let me see them. You know, and people will show you everything. You just gotta put it to them, and you gotta listen to what they're saying. So. Listening, dead air. Don't try to overtalk people. You're like you're doing now. You're listening. You're actually trying to understand what I'm trying to say. And then you can take that into a million different directions. And if you actually have opinions on things or innocuous things, you never want to get into dangerous topics. But if you can talk about anything, I can talk about anything. I probably could. I've got 5 minutes of conversation on any topic you can think of in the planet.
Okay.
I could bring that up, which is a good way to improve.
Those are arrows in your quiver in a way in sales.
It is, because it allows that bonding. People want to buy from people they like. Give them a reason to like you. Listen to them. When you show you're listening to them, you show you actually care about them. You're not just trying to press your agenda. Here's my agenda. Here's my agenda. When you're selling Midas tickets, you got an agenda. Read this agenda, and I got to decide in 5 minutes, or I got to move on. Right?
There's a difference between selling coupons in a parking lot and high-level sales. There's a difference, but not a fundamental difference.
Well, if you want to go there.
There's not a fundamental difference.
There's a lot of differences in the product you have, but you don't have time. You don't have time to develop a relationship.
For $20.
You don't. You don't. So that's the fundamental difference.
But I think you learned so for example, before the age of 21, so I worked for AdFX for 3 summers between university and what you learn is people's nonverbal cues, buying cues. You learned when people are ready to say yes and when to shut up. You know, you can talk your way out of a sale really quickly when you're in a parking lot if you keep going. You know, and sometimes you just got to pull back and stay quiet. You see that, and you just stop talking. The person's like, oh.
Go ahead. What was your closing line? Did you have a closing line?
Oh, for sure. So all you do is...
It's changed over the years, too, I'm sure.
Oh, for sure. But one of the things you do is try new things. You do say crazy things like, all you do, see that little nub on the end? Yeah, you're going to fill that out right now. And then I'm going to take that. I'm going to put it on file. And then you're going to settle the 20 with me, cash, check, Visa, or MasterCard. And then when you go in, everything's free. Here's my pen. Do you want green or blue? And people will be like, oh, so the choice is between green and blue, not yes or no. Oh, I don't have any cash on me. That's okay. You have a bank card, right? You would never ask a question like, do you have a bank card? No, I don't have a bank card. You'd say, you have a bank card,
You've
right?
You've got a bank card. And
right?
What's the passcode of that card again?
Yes. It was high pressure sales, dude. I'll call it what it is, dude. But you know what?
The pressure was not on them. The pressure was on you to do something in 5 minutes or fewer.
Exactly,
right?
dude.
That's the pressure. I got 5 minutes. If I don't get this done, I got to move to the next one.
Yeah.
And cut your losses. And that's another big thing in sales. In all sales, get a quick no.
Yeah, all I'm after is a yes or no or 100 smiles, whatever you want.
If you're going to say no to me, tell me now and not in 2 years from now.
Yes.
You tell me now, you do me a favor. You know, we got a chance of this going any further? Is this something at all you're interested in?
Well, that's sort of the high level sales process. So I think I've unpacked the high pressure, don't say no to me stuff, right, for this show right now. But what's the high level sales process like? So it's like you're selling something that's worth millions of dollars. Right? And a company needs it. So everyone's in the market now. Something happened, right? In the economy, everyone's going LED, everyone's buying sub meters for their units or whatever it is. And everyone's going to do this. It's just a matter of who they do it with, right? So you're in that environment. You identify some big customers. Walk me through how Desi Ste Marie would target and go after a large, let's say, property management company. How would you start it off?
Well, you know what? We can keep it in generically, you know, on any topic like that. But I think finding that key decision maker finding the wheat through all the chaff of the people who say they're decision makers, you know, really cuts the process down. And that comes from understanding the industry you're in and talking to everybody in the industry. You know, some of the biggest successes I've got came via a partner. So it wasn't even direct. I partner up or get to know another salesperson selling another product, and they'll give you their 10 years worth of experience in that industry and point you right to the target. So that took a while. I didn't get that. If I'd have done that a long time ago, we'd be driving a different car today. But leveraging their experience is just key. I remember in the States, I got into some very big deals with a partner I had in Boston. I sold to the United States Postal Service out of D.C.
Okay.
That was a huge deal.
That's a nice client.
Yeah, they had 22,000 retail locations across the U.S. And, I got in there because of this guy in Boston. Tommy helped me out. And he said, this is the guy. Don't deal with those. Don't even start there. Because if you start with the low one, you got to go through the low one or else you piss somebody off.
You also position yourself incorrectly. Right? If you start talking to the maintenance manager, well, then you're at the level of the maintenance manager. You don't get to talk to the VP of procurement.
Right.
You have to talk to. You're stuck there. It's kind of like you start from the top.
That's right. Well, yeah, and so even making that first call, sometimes you wait on it. You say, is this the right guy? Because if I go down this road, I got to deal with him for 2 months to get his okay to talk to a guy who works for the right guy.
Yeah.
And if you play those very slow falling dominoes out, right? That take forever. Or you work the industry a little bit more, phone a few people, find out who it is. And one of the key factors of finding out if the guy you're dealing with is the right guy or lady or whatever is say, tell me the last time this was purchased, something like this was purchased. Tell me how that went about. Tell me how that went about.
Is there a name for that strategy?
We call it the colonization.
Who's that? No, there's a name because I always
King Midas.
I always use the forward loop. I always liked that. It was called that, the forward loop. You know what the forward? You'll know as soon as I say it. So the forward loop in sales is like, so you get the person's end results they want. So okay, so if we're gonna do so forget about what the lighting. What is it that you want? Okay, I want to receive a rebate. I want to save some energy, and I want a 2-year payback. Okay, so if you increase your light level in the factory and you get a nice rebate from the government and your payback is 2 years, you'll say yes? Yeah, that's kind of what we're looking for. Okay, so if I get that for you, then let me see if I can figure that out for you. Meanwhile, I already know that I can figure that out for the guy.
Of course you do.
Right? So it's called a forward loop. Mm-hmm. So what you're doing is you're kind of getting the guy.
It's a trial close too, right?
Trial close.
Yeah, if I can do all these things, we close the deal, sure.
Yeah, and you wouldn't believe how often that works on people. I think it's because a lot of decision makers have never been salespeople.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of podcasts interviewing purchasers as well.
Yes.
They're saying the salespeople come in here and they say the same things every day. I see them coming, and they got the same anecdotes as well. But if you're with the right person, and the harder the person is to get to, the better.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness! If you're talking to someone who takes, I don't know how long I was selling, maybe 20 years before I realized that if the person takes my call and takes the appointment right away and says, hey, let's do it over lunch, he's meeting every single person in the industry and buying from 10% of them.
Sure.
I mean, everybody is welcome as long as they buy him that sushi. And the best deals I've ever gotten have been the most obscure buyers that were really hard to find. And when you got into them, they don't want to see anybody. They hope that they hate the process. They hope that you can deliver everything. They give you even a lot of leeway to make some mistakes, because putting up with you, if they like you, back to that again, if they like you, they'd rather put up with you than to go through this process twice.
That's what I don't understand about you. Who the hell
unlikable.
Who the hell would like you?
That's it. My kids don't like me.
My wife hates me.
Guaranteed. No, as soon as I do the vacuuming, she loves that sound.
She loves that sound.
Yeah, next thing I know, I'm getting a back massage. Oh, that's great.
Is that how it works? You vacuum and you didn't get a back massage?
That's it. Vacuums are the key to a good marriage.
Is that right?
Sound of a vacuum.
I bought my wife a vacuum once.
Did you ever run it? Do you know how to turn it on?
No. Fortunately, no.
Dude.
No, I have certain things I don't do. See, I always, my sister, before I got married, gave me some advice.
Housework is one of them, right?
Yeah. My sister, and this is not a misogynist thing. This is my sister told me this. She said to me, if there's anything in your life you don't want to do, don't do it. Never do it.
And she never gets off the couch. She just eats Doritos all day, does she?
No, she's very successful. But she's like, if there's anything you don't want, this is what marriage advice she gave me. She said, if there's anything you don't want to do, don't do it.
Yeah.
Just don't do it.
Did you laugh at her when she said that?
I thought she was crazy, but then in retrospect, now I realize.
A little bit of crazy.
No, it's good. It doesn't mean that you don't cut a fair deal with somebody. But if there's something that you don't want to do.
Sounds like someone who's never compromised ever.
Maybe.
Bit short-term thinking.
I'm a compromiser. I'm willing to make a deal with anybody.
Of course you are, because you see the big picture. I'm not interested in doing this, but this will lead me to my ultimate goal. So actually, I do want to do it, right? Ultimately,
you want that massage.
Right. And in sales.
So it's transactional for you. Is that what you're saying?
No, it's not that. Not down to the minutia. It's more the macro than the micro, right? I want a happy life, happy wife.
Sure.
Happy to pitch in. Do I want a vacuum?
I think happy life, happy Mike is what I always say.
Happy Mike, that's it. But
anyway,
I started out 3 years of sales making no money, knocking on doors, absolutely tearing layers off myself of fear and anything that kept me from making the money. And it went through the mud of it, and then you come out a lot tougher. Then nothing fazed me after that. The only thing that fazed me was me after that. You get down if you've had a slow month. You get down if you realize the industry, you've mentally left this industry or left this job, so you get down and then you realize, you see that from the big picture. But people who had it easy, they don't last. I've been doing it for 30 years and in different cities. I would get into a city, in a town, in an industry, make all these friends, and then boom, pick up and I'd be in another town, start all over again, new network, new contacts, go to all the things, meet all the new people. Nice to get a business, get leads in, and then I was in another city. A lot of those were promotions, like Vancouver We killed it in Vancouver, and that was a great life. And then, boom, they said, why don't you run the New York City office? I said, Manhattan? Never heard of it. Tell me about it. Well, why don't you take a long weekend out there? No, it's beautiful here in Vancouver. Just go to the long weekend in New York City, which isn't fair. You just can't do that. Go to New York City for a long weekend. So I was there for 2 years, and that was basically 2 year long weekend too. It was a wonderful place to be. But then you get up and you start again. But it's easy to start again if you've got no fear about doing it. Once you've done it, I can do it again. Of course I can do it again, as long as you still have the energy and the will.
Sure. And
the motivation, and new family and kids will give you lots of motivation, and fancy car. When you're in your 20s, it's all about testosterone and fancy cars and things like that. But
or estrogen, because there's ladies out there that sell too. How
sure.
dare you, Desi?
I'm sorry.
How dare you?
I can't speak to estrogen and what it does. I do know women have testosterone in them as well.
Is that what it is?
They do. Not as much as men, thankfully.
How dare you, Desi Ste. Marie? Again, that's two.
Quit dragging
3 strikes and you're out, buddy.
How dare you?
3 strikes.
How dare me? How dare you?
So tell me, you built sales teams.
Yes.
Tell me about building sales teams, man.
Hardest thing to do. Hardest thing to do.
So being a sales manager, being a salesman, what were you better at first off?
I think at different times, different things.
I always find the guys that are the best sales managers aren't necessarily the top sales guys.
Yeah, but that doesn't preclude them from being at either. Some guys just want to. Some guys are cowboys. They love the freewheeling life, and it comes down to a question of accepting responsibility.
Sure.
Because if you're the manager, you're the last one in the office. That's really a theme of your life. I close this office, so nobody stays later than I am. It doesn't always apply, of course, because sometimes you're golfing or whatever. But you got to be willing to be there early, stay late, do all those things, and really own the business. It's 100% your business, even though you're a manager in a corporation. But you stay, you do it all, your paperwork's all done. You're 100% accountable. And a lot of people in their times of life don't want to be accountable to that because they're accountable to other things that are more important and priorities. In the last bit of my life, my sales career has been as an individual contributor. And it was offered to me to take more of a management role, but I said no. I got 5 young kids at home. I want to spend as much time as I can at them. So I'm accountable to their childhood, and I don't want this. And that's my choice. But other people have made the absolute opposite choice because they're career building, and they know they got to say yes to everything if they're going to be CEO. My goal was never to be CEO. That's not who I wanted to be of a large corporation. But that's the thing about management. If you're managing, you own that. You own your piece of real estate, whether it's one office, whether it's a part of an office, whether it's the entire company. It's yours, and there's nothing you can do about it. You think about it at night, you wake up thinking about it, it's yours. As an individual contributor, it's great too.
There's different kinds of sales managers too. I've always found the guys are like, oh, fill out your report here, son, fill it out. And fill out what you did today, how many calls you made or whatever. And there's and then there's sales managers that are more like pace setters. They're the guys that sell the most, and then they're looked up to by the other. They're called a sales manager, but they're really the pace setter, the guy that sells the most. So the word sales manager is sometimes mixed up in different corporations as to what it means, right? So for example, you have a sales manager. What do? I sell the most. So I'm the manager. I sell the most stuff. Right? But I mean, at some bigger corporations where you had worked at, there'd actually be a guy who didn't sell, but managed salespeople. I mean, that's kind of like coaching an NHL hockey team when you never played in the big leagues or whatever, right?
Well, there's a question of, there's a few topics here. Managers versus leaders. You manage paper, you manage things, you manage numbers, and those are very effective people. Good leaders can do both. Good leaders aren't necessarily good manager of things, so they'll hire somebody to keep track of the paper, and they'll lead and take care of the vision and the motivation of the team, which is also important. And then there's the manager, fill out your paperwork. He's not leading a team at all. He's corralling individuals, right? The individuals are in charge of themselves, and I'm just keeping track of them, trying to keep them on point. Different sales teams. I remember I tried to work for Oracle. I took an interview while I was in New York City for Oracle. And I'd been working with a company who was all rah-rah. I was the older one in the group. There was a lot of younger people, 20-somethings, and everybody was rah-rah. And because they weren't paying outrageous amounts of money, they always, hey, we're part of a family here. And it's always been a con they try to get people to feel part of the family. And there's a win for feeling like the sales team or your organization's family, but there's always a bit of a con because we don't want the turnover and we can't afford great people. So if we can just keep the ones here and keep them moderately paid by calling them a family and buying them drinks every once in a while, we'll keep them. Prevent turnover.
Yeah, we'll go axe throwing on Tuesday nights.
Yeah, yeah, it's lots of fun. So I remember I went to Oracle and I said that was the interview. They said, well, you've got great sales numbers in here in Oracle. Well, we're going to pay 3 times what you're making now. They were talking about making up to $500,000 US selling with Oracle. Like they were stupid.
And when is this, the late 70s?
Yeah, that would have been at least $500,000 plus $5 today. No, but it was and I said, so what's it like here? Do you guys hang out? Do you do this thing? He goes, no.
Yeah.
He goes, you're on your own. You do it all yourself. I'm here. You need me, I'll come in and do a deal, and we'll track your numbers, but you got to show up. It was, I'm paying you this much money. That's all I give you.
Yeah,
you get money and that's all you get. You do everything else yourself. And ultimately, if you're that good, and I've been in that position, I don't need anybody. I'll just send the deals your way and you just keep paying me.
Yeah.
Those guys make the most money.
Yeah, you know what? I always like as a business owner, I always like people that want more money and more vacation. Like I don't want people that, let's have a party. And not that I have a problem with going out for a Christmas party or whatever like that, but I'm always suspicious of the people that want more from work than money and vacation time. It's like if I'm sitting down with someone and it's like, what kind of what do you offer here? It's like money and vacation.
Money and places to spend it.
Yes.
But there's a role in every office for that too, because for people who work in the 9 to 5, this is they need that. They love that. And why not?
A lot of people see work as more than work now.
Well, it's the lines are blurred between personal time and work time. Obviously, with the cell phone being the #1 business tool for at least half of us in this particular room. Yes, that is a phone. That BlackBerry. Yeah, but it's blurred. Your personal, your work, you never know what people are doing anyway. But that has a role. But from the sales perspective, when you're learning and you need training, you want to hang with the best managers. You want to hang with the best teams, learn the most. And I always say that to young people. You know what? I didn't hang out with the greatest people when I was younger. I learned the hardest way possible, which I wouldn't recommend or duplicate.
Sure.
Hang around with the best people. Don't scratch with the turkeys. Soar with the eagles. Hang out with them. Glean as much as you can off of them.
Sure.
And that also follows up with when you're finding partners who know the entire industry. Go hang out with these guys. They've already killed it in the industry. Go hang out with them.
Listen, there's a lot of guys that close a lot of deals on golf courses and in clubs and stuff like this, for sure. Well, that's something I have no idea about. I've never done business that way, but I know it's probably the best and easiest way to do business.
It's work to do that much social time. It's certain times in your life, but and your liver hurts for a while. But I mean, when I was working with Microsoft a bit, there was Microsoft they printed money because they didn't actually sell anything. The software was made, and they just sold pieces of paper that said, "Okay, you bought 1 million licenses. Give us $10 million." Right? When is that going to get delivered? Oh, here's the CD.
You're selling emails.
Yeah, it was great, and that
email's worth $1 million.
They would throw great parties too. Oh yeah. I mean the cruises in Seattle Harbor. In New York, we were working with them. Oh, the dinners and the casino nights, and just get everybody together because they had to spend the money back on these people who were buying it. They had to keep them happy, and that's how we met a lot of people doing that. Just so many people in and around because one sale would trigger. Someone's got to install it. You sell for $1 million, someone's got to install it for 1.5. And that guy who's got 1.5 wanted my attention. So when I told him that I was selling this deal, then he would do it. He would do it. So partners, the partner trips have been fun too. Partners called me up. Hey, we're going on a trip. Where you want to come with us? We'd love to hang out with you for a few days.
We're going to do a junket.
Where are we going? Super Bowl.
We're going to go on a junket.
Super Bowl? Let's go. It's in San Diego. You want to go to San Diego for the Super Bowl? You want to bring me? How about yes?
Yeah, sure. Sure, why not?
Do you mind if we stop in Vegas for the first night? I want to, we could do some gambling. Yes, that would be fine. Back by Monday morning? No. Tuesday's good.
Tuesday works.
Yeah.
No recovery day?
Partners love partners. I guess they do so much work for it.
Partners meaning other people that are selling ancillary stuff to what you're selling.
Or completely unrelated stuff. Really? Just dealing with the same people. Just dealing with the same people. They're just fantastic shortcuts. So we spend as much time working the partner relationships as we were working the actual client relationships. Because, if you're working anything in construction, you get to know the engineers. They don't buy the product, but they'll tell you what's going up.
Sure.
And those people get taken care of very well too. A lot of leaf games, a lot of boxes get filled up with partners who can tell you, hey, that thing over, that big one going up over there, they just got approved, and this is the guy we're dealing with. We're the first person to hear about it. I'm the second. Thank you.
Sure.
So move it along.
Where's the ethical line here? So you're talking about partying, you're talking about
gathering information.
No, but I'm not gathering information. Sort of like, I don't have a problem with anything you talked about, but I think a lot of people may be listening if they're thinking about like these sales guys, they're out buying business, they're it's corrupt or whatever. What's the difference between those things? Like, when are you entertaining clients and when are you passing the line?
It's funny because there's larger corporations. I remember. Like some of the automakers. Yeah. The automakers would sponsor everything, and they'd spend a lot of money, and their people would always be hitting them up for things. And then there was a thing maybe 15 years ago. The automakers said, no, we're not doing anything more than a pen. You can't receive any more gifts than a pen. Because automakers, imagine the budgets they spend on everything, from steel to paint, right? Crazy. And they were, hey, we have a softball team. Call a supplier and get us all new uniforms. Of course they'd pay for that, right?
Sure.
What's that, $3,000?
Yeah.
Supplier contracts for millions and hundreds of millions of dollars. So they just said, no, a pen is it. When you're networking with someone though, everybody likes getting a golf game for free, a lunch, a dinner. I think ethically, if you take them away somewhere, you fly them somewhere, and they receive that, I think that's a problem. I think inviting someone and paying their ticket for an event. I've taken people to see Bruce Springsteen. We had a box.
I don't know why, but
because I'm part of the generation that appreciates good music. That's why. And then Pearl Jam we went to recently. You heard of those guys?
How much? Yeah, I mean, you just named two that I just can't love those two artists. I mean, I'm Pearl Jam, Bruce Springsteen. Bruce Springsteen's a bit of a fraud.
Right. If I had sleeves, they'd be rolling up right now. What do you mean he's a fraud?
He sings about the working class. The guy never worked a day in his life.
Never.
Not a one day.
Poor Italian Jersey boy. Never had to work. You're even talking about rock stars. These guys had it.
Bruce Springsteen never worked a day in his life. How much you want to bet?
Don't you listen to them?
Matt, can you put that up on Google and please confirm that Bruce Springsteen never worked a day in his life?
Yeah.
Yet he's singing about the working class.
Yeah,
but it pisses me off.
He's singing about his culture. He grew up in that. He
didn't grow up in shit.
That's exactly where he grew up.
No, he didn't.
Have you been to the part of Jersey he's grown up? Read his book.
I don't even think he's been from Jersey.
Okay, so I'm talking to an idiot who clearly is uninformed and unenlightened, doesn't know anything about the boss man.
Hey, Matt,
who doesn't like being called the boss?
The boss ever worked a day in his life or not? Just Google it, see what comes up.
I think rock stars in general, to make it anywhere, A, you have to be very creative, and B, you have to be willing to do all these shows all the time, one night stand, until people will even listen to you.
So, okay, playing music for 3 hours is hard.
It's exhausting. The same songs every night, the same thing.
Yeah, sure. He's a professional. I get it. I'm not.
No, but he writes too, though. I mean, what about the creative aspect? What about entertainment? I know you're not in the entertainment business. Okay. Because clearly you're not entertaining me right now. Maybe you're in the antagonization business.
Maybe. I'm not a fan of Bruce. I just don't like Bruce Springsteen at all.
To tear the man down and criticize him like that.
You're singing all these working class songs and he never worked. It's like, I don't know, man.
So the working class people, they've got a code of ethics.
Sing their own songs.
They got a poor kid from Jersey who slept on a couch for all his childhood, who didn't have any money. He can't be considered working class. So he's born into the elite multimillionaire group right away.
I don't know. All right? I know is this.
I'm going to be rich one day, so I better start singing about it now. I don't think he's got that bank of references.
I don't dislike the guy personally. I just don't like his music.
He wasn't singing working class songs when he's singing about Rosalita, Jump a Little Ladder, Senorita, Come Sit by My Fire. He's singing about cars and girls. How's that working class? I think you got more of a problem with the country singers complaining about their tractors.
Sure, that too.
Although those tractors are $250,000 that they're buying anyway. But
$250,000 tractor.
Come and sit on my big green tractor.
There you go. So, Desi, what else you got to say about sales here, man?
Listen to people. That's what I got to say about sales.
Listen.
Listen. I love the pause. Okay, let's work on a pause. You say something profound to me that you want to buy. Tell me about your lighting needs. Go ahead.
Excuse me, gentlemen.
Yeah.
I have an update.
Yes.
It says here that he worked as, let me see, let me get it right. Different times as a bus driver, mill worker, and prison guard.
Oh, man. Okay, so I'm wrong.
Yes. I'm sorry. Say
I'm
that
wrong.
again. Say that one more time. I didn't hear you.
I'm wrong. There you go.
My earphones
A
a
bus
little louder?
driver, a mill worker.
Sorry,
and a
Bruce,
prison
if you ever
guard.
hear this. I'm hating on you. I don't mean to do
And
that.
he had trouble holding down a steady job, just like the common blue-collar working man.
Oh, my goodness. And he probably had a big, fast car and drank beer,
You think so?
which also puts him right in. He's a stereotype of blue collar, isn't he?
I don't know.
Not that well, we all enjoy our beer. I don't think that's a class thing.
Well, there you go. I'm wrong. So you want to do the pause, eh? The major pause. Just don't talk anymore. I would always do it after I asked for the green and blue pen.
As I put my hand to my chin, pausing.
Do you want a green or blue pen? There was all these
I'm
things in
liking that.
AdFX they taught us, like the process of the sale. Do this, 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 and then pause. And the first person to talk loses.
Yeah, I learned that one in 1989. First person to talk loses, and there was a staring contest, and then you had to practice not blinking. 'Cause
Yeah.
If you were a blinker, then you're already.
You know, but all these principles still work. I mean, in the world we're in today, I mean, there's a lot of people buy on Amazon. There's a lot of things going on, but there's still sales going on, dude, and people are still using the same principles, man.
You know, it's amazing to me though that you're still people are buying from people,
Sure.
and that was always an asset that I had because I cared about people. I cared about this person, and I liked everybody. I would say I liked probably 98 out of 100 people I ever met, which also detracts from my sales because I don't know when to cut it off or call somebody a liar or whatever.
Or say someone never worked in a day in their life.
Yeah, right. You know, you stand up for one of the icons of the music industry in the last century. But if you know, people buy from people, so you've got to understand people. So here, one of the other things is do some work on yourself. Right? Mature and grow as an individual. Take some time to reflect on who you are, where you are, what you are. You're that much more interesting because if people don't like you, they won't buy from you. They're just not interested. And if people do like you, no matter what you're presenting, they'll find a reason to like it. They want to find a reason. I want to buy from you. You're the highest price. You've got the fewest features. Michael, do you think I could get one more thing on there and take a couple grand off? Because I want to give you this deal. Yeah, we could do that.
Trust is huge, dude. Trust is huge.
But how do you get trust? By showing up and talking over people and insulting their musical tastes? We don't do that. Who would do that? Nobody would make outrageous claims about someone's history and background. I think you go in, you ask the questions and you listen, and then you reincorporate. Like maybe if someone makes a reference to a musical artist, later on you bring that guy back into the conversation somehow.
Sure.
And that really makes you the boss, right? And the whole thing. But it's also very sincere too. People I've sold to, if they ever hear this, they'll know I was sincere. I like these people. I'm very interested
Especially
in them.
the ones that were born in the USA.
Boom. Even especially those. That's right. Down near Asbury Park. But I'm sincere and I say I like them and I'm very interested. And when you get people talking about themselves, then they open up. And that's trust. But you can't get trust from people if all you do is talk and talk and talk over them.
Is sales a profession?
That's kind of a confusing question. What is sales? Is it that's it? Can you simplify it, or is it's kind of an art form as well?
So okay, let's define it then. So working as an outside commission sales rep, is that a profession?
Sure.
I think it is.
I think simply.
Yeah.
I think there's there's an art in sales on how to do it.
I think I don't know if art is the right word. I know what you're getting at. It's like there's a softness to
There's
it.
an art to it.
There's a savvy.
There's
There's a savvy that you need, to do it well.
Well, see, there's the talent. See, when it's back to pattern recognition, right? This guy I made phone 500 times. He got to recognize what was happening in those 500 calls, and they were his practice. And when you've done something for years and years and years, you know you're at the wrong spot. And you get that much better when you say, I'm going to cut this off because you're never going to buy this product ever. I'm cutting my losses. And now I've got that much more time to invest in 4 more opportunities or prospects.
AdFX used to say you got to get through your nose. You got to get through your nose. Get through your nose as quickly as possible every day.
You said nose?
Get through your nose.
Oh, not like
you're gonna get
the nose on your face.
You're gonna yeah, no, you have that too. You're gonna get you have to get through your 100 no's a day.
Sure.
If you get through your 100 no's a day
right
with
on.
a positive attitude, then you'll get to your 20 yeses. And that was what it was. The law of averages. They have all these things they bring out, law of averages. And
I'd like to hear what one of your craziest sales was. I think those always make
you
good
want me to
starts.
tell you a story about crazy sales?
A crazy sales.
Okay,
I got a couple for you, but you tell me one first.
Center Point Mall in 1997.
Okay. That's the where and when. Gotcha.
That's Young and Steeles. So I was selling glamour shots. You ever heard of glamour? Remember glamour shots?
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember that? It would be like in the mall. They'd go in and they had like this wardrobe and they would dress the people up like movie stars and then take pictures of them. This is before the age of cell phones and all this. And then they would give them the pictures. And then so what would happen was the session was like $100. So we would sell a coupon for a free session and the people would buy the photos. So that's how the glamour shots work. So we were selling glamour shots. These things sold like crazy. Okay. So I had my bundle of coupons and I had my day of observation with me. And I get in my car and I drive down to Center Point Mall, and the office was at Shepherd and Yonge. So if you're in Toronto, it's like that's not far. Steeles and Yonge and Shepherd and Yonge are not far from each other. So I drove 15 minutes. I'm like, we're just going to walk around this mall today, and we're going to stop every woman we see between the ages of 15 and 50 and try to sell them a Glamour Shops coupon for $20. So I'm in the mall. And this is the second time I'd been kicked out of that mall. I was kicked out of that mall.
Kicking out of places. That's another topic.
Oh, yeah. So no, I had been kicked out of that mall twice. So this is my third time. So, and usually like the security would probably wake up around 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and then somebody would complain, and they'd try to come find me and be a cat and mouse game.
Yeah, that's common.
So then I'm in the middle of Center Point Mall, and the security comes up behind me when I'm in the middle of the pitch. Taps me on the shoulder. I'm like, excuse me, I'm talking to this person right here. Just wait a second. I'm like, and so this is how the glamour shots works. He taps me on the shoulder. And I'm like, excuse me, I'll be with you in a second. I'm finishing up here. And the lady's
walking in.
And the lady's like, no, my day of observation is like, what is this? Right? I'm like, okay, yeah, I'll talk to you later. The guy's like, you're under arrest. So he puts us in, the security guard, I'm not kidding you, the security guard at Center Point Mall puts us in cuffs and my day of observation, takes us down to the security office and calls the cops. Okay. Okay. He's like, this is your third time. You've been booked. You're done. We're calling the cops here. You're being arrested. This is a criminal offense. This is trespassing. You've been warned 3 times. I have a management directive that if any of you guys with the glamour shots are here again, you're getting arrested. Right. So then I'm sitting there waiting. We're in cuffs. And I turned to my day of observation and said, don't worry, we'll be out of here soon. Don't worry. This is part of the job.
I know a guy. Don't worry. I know a guy.
Yeah, we're going to get out of here. He's like, oh, I'm arrested. I'm being arrested. Like, it's a security guard. What are you worried about, dude? This guy can't arrest you. Right? So then the cop shows up, comes downstairs, right? And walks down the stairs. He comes in. He's like, okay, clearly, like, not that happy that he's there. Okay.
Right.
So the cop's like, what's going on here? He's like, this is the third time we've warned this gentleman about trespassing. And he's like, have you been warned before? I'm like, yeah, I kind of been warned a couple times. He's like, look, you can't do this here. Don't you know that? I'm like, yeah, dude, I know. But, I'm just trying to make a living. I got to go to college. I got to go back to school in September. And I want to pay my university. And he's like, all right. He's like, well, what are you selling? I'm like, glamour shots, man. And he's like, glamour shots.
Hey, let me see.
He's like, is that thing in the mall? And I'm like, yeah, I can show you. Can you get these cuffs off? So the security guard comes over and takes the cuffs off. I'm like, yeah, man. So here's how it works. I walk the cop through. He's like, yeah, I'm gonna get one of these for your wife. And I'm like, yeah, but you can't go alone, right? So she's like, yeah, well, who's going to go with her? He's like, well, she'll probably want to take one of her sisters. I'm like, how many sisters does she have? She's like, oh, she's got 3 sisters. I'm like, oh, dude, you're going to need 4 for sure. You rehash and you double your cash, man. Boom! I sold that guy 4 coupons in the security office of Center Point Mall.
That's fantastic.
Boom! My day of observation guy goes, dude, you're unbelievable. I'm like, dude, that's how we roll, man. That's how we roll.
High fives all the way to the electric chair.
Right? So he bolted out of there. He booked it. But that guy came back, and he was a great trainee for me, and he sold the rest of the summer, and he was great.
And they're still talking.
That was a
about you.
legendary story, dude.
Hey,
Center Point Mall.
and people
man,
don't believe it now.
1997.
You should have got a picture of that.
Nobody had cameras back then, dude.
Just pull out your
People weren't walking around with cameras, man. No Blackberries in 1997. Maybe 1999.
I saw
think
my
99
first.
the first one came out.
I saw my
that
first
little thumb
Blackberry.
thing. 99, I think it was.
I saw the first one. Microsoft guy had one in 19. It would have been 97.
97, was it 97? They came out?
97. We're at a thing together.
Remember
He's
the little
pulling
thing
it
with
out.
the ticker going
It
across?
was.
And
He
you read
pulled
your
it out,
note?
and I was like, "Dude, what is that?"
Yeah, man. I
Oh,
remember
we
that.
all got them. Gates wants everybody to have one of these so we can talk to each other. That'll never sell.
Yeah, sure.
If that's gonna catch on, dude.
Yeah, for sure. I remember that little thing with and it was like a ticker screen across the top, and it ticked across like in digital.
I looked at. I said, "Show me that keyboard." I said, "How do you get your fingers on there?" "Oh, you just use your thumbs."
Oh,
No,
man.
I remember my reaction. No.
So you got to tell me your best story if you can you top
you know,
that one?
I don't know about best. One that comes to mind always makes me laugh because back to this guy was impossible to get to, but he sat on a decision to make to buy millions of dollars worth of stuff. It was a huge deal, and this company had no web presence. You couldn't do any research on them, and the web presence they did have, the whatever qualified on there, they just really sent you to a phone number that had a voicemail on it, and there was no getting into this place. And I was confused about it. And then one of my partners said, "Actually, try this guy. You got to try this guy's name. We'll call him Bill." And I said, "Call Bill." Well, Bill had a voicemail, and I called Bill, and then I called him again at the end of the week, and I called him probably twice or three times a week for the first 4 weeks. And then, as human nature would go, you kind of get off him. But this guy was just too juicy a plum, right? So then I call him once a month, and I called him once a month for close to 48 months.
Holy mackerel, 4 years.
Yeah, 48 months I would have called him, and I always kept notes. I also kept notes because in sales, if you're working a deal legitimately, and as a manager,
Yeah, you got to prove it.
I often had to come in and say, "Well, he sold your thing. Yeah, it was your deal. Prove to me it was your deal." Well, I called him a few times. I mean, shut up. You know?
Get out of here.
So there's also some defensive. I was always making notes, always writing down. I'm calling this guy. So if somebody bumps into him at a Leaf game or something and says, "I got this guy," "No, man, I have 4 years been trying to reach this guy. You just can't come and scoop him because I'm working it. I'm actively working it." So I called him. Anyway, 4 years later, I get a phone call. It's this guy. He just leaves a cryptic voicemail. "Hi, Desi. It's Bill. Heard you've been looking for me. Call me back." And that was it.
And then the deal's done.
And then, the process went through. 3 months later, bingo. Huge deal. Rang that bell for an hour. We went out, celebrated, and laughed about that story.
Sure.
And laughed about the story. Because this guy could have died 5 years ago and not turned off his voicemail. Sure. You know what I mean? What a cryptic. I instantly loved the guy. "Heard you've been looking for me." I said, "Oh my God, I got to meet this guy. I love him." Yeah, I love that guy. So it was just, it's just comedy because that was a payday. That was one hell of a good payday because it was, and that one kept giving too. "Oh, we're buying more stuff. We need more of your stuff. We're expanding. We need more." Sweet. And I knew nobody was going to be in there, right? Nobody's reaching him. He's not looking at competition.
Sure.
He's not doing anything. He's not listening to this. He doesn't have technology. He's not interested.
He's not listening to the Get a Grip on Life podcast.
He's not.
Come on, man.
No.
Tune in, son.
No, there have been some fun experiences though. I mean, Vancouver was great. We used to we'd go on salmon fishing trips with guys and stuff like that.
Ooh.
They'd be day trips. So
Sure.
hey, we're going to spend $150 on you or $200 on you. Do you think that's cool if you leave the office for a day? I'm not giving you $1,500 worth, right? Like back to your ethical thing.
Sure.
Yeah. Let's go. We'll go salmon fishing. That was fun. In New York City, we do some fun things. I had a couple clients in the World Trade Center. That was pretty weird after the fact.
Any of them die?
All of them. We all
Wow.
did. Yeah. It's funny because I was reading
Wow.
I went through a stack
So they were part of the 4,000 or 5,000 people that died in the World Trade Center.
Yeah. There was a Japanese bank and a
Wow.
and a investment company. I won't say
That was when you were with Microsoft?
Yeah, it wasn't with Microsoft. Microsoft didn't sell directly.
Okay.
But we
You were a partner with Microsoft, certified partner or whatever
Yeah,
it was.
exactly. So I just remember going up, you have to meet these guys, and getting up to the World Trade Center for the first time was just a hoot. But because they'd already been bombed in 92,
Sure.
Their garage got bombed and did some damage. So their security was thing. So I'm looking at a book, maybe a few years ago. I'm looking at a book, and I open it up, and my bookmark was my ID to go up the World Trade Center, because when you went to World Trade Center, you landed up like a.
Do you have that now? Do you still have that?
Yeah, like a bunch of bankers tellers, and they said, "Where are you going? Up this floor?" And they made you a mag stripe ID card with your picture on it.
Wow.
So you get, smile here, sir. Look here, smile. Okay, there it is. You can. That's this card will only access your floor, and you go in and you go into this big cattle car of an express elevator that goes halfway up, and it just races up, and then you get out, and now you're at a whole bunch of different banks of elevators that go to individual floors. So there's like the express.
Yeah.
And then tick, 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 tick. And so when I found that card the other day, I went, look at the background. That's, that was the big, the ginormous 100-foot lobby of the World Trade Center behind my head. And then that, we moved from New York City like the month beforehand. We left that summer before September.
August 2011.
Yeah. We would have been, just late July.
August 2001, sorry.
Late July. Late July we left.
Sure.
And so we're just, when that happened, we're calling back and finding out. And then we had a con call.
That was a crazy day, dude.
It was. It was weird too, because I was playing hockey with some guys some Canadian guys in New York City, and we played at Chelsea Piers.
Okay.
Chelsea Piers was an arena they built on a dock on a pier in the Hudson River, and it was like 3 levels. The hockey rink was at the top level. They filmed Spin City at the bottom level. With the Michael J. Fox TV show. Anyway, we played hockey there, and I was on the doctors team because all these Canadian guys were down there because they were doctors. So when someone got injured on the ice, it was always, what part of him's injured? It's his eye. Oh, we got an ophthalmologist down here. You go see him. So that was, but I called back and I said, is everybody good? And I didn't reach him because the phone lines were down. The cell towers crashed. So the second or third day, I called my buddy who was a surgeon up there, and I said, hey, I guess you're okay. How'd it go? He goes, it was the strangest day. He says, we heard everything was going on. We all got ready. We all went down to the hospital, and nobody showed up. Nobody showed up. And he goes, you remember Chelsea Piers where we played hockey? Guess what they're using the ice for now? And I said, I don't even want to know. He says, yep. He says, the morgues are full, so they're just taking them. Everybody's down to the ice. He goes, our hockey season's canceled for the next 3 weeks.
Sure.
And I just went, oh. That just floored me. I think that was the worst thing I ever heard about that. From a
human perspective.
Yeah, that not the worst thing. The one that viscerally hurt me the most.
Sure.
That you ran out of morgue space and you had to use the hockey rink. It was like, I'm glad I wasn't there for it. At one point, it was it was a beautiful place, and there was a lot of freedom, and of course then everything's locked down everywhere now. But those are some good years just hanging in. And that was all because of sales.
All because of sales.
All because of sales. You do well, you get elevated. You make money, everything's going well, you hire well, you're having a great time. Still, some of the people I hired there, I still connect with. Even one guy who quit on me. I hired him because his resume said he was a hockey player in college. So I
hired him right away.
I put him to the top of the pile. Oh, I got to interview this guy. He played for Providence College.
There you go.
Got to hire him. He quit on me 6 months later because other people liked him too, and he went for more money. He's in San Antonio right now. I think he's selling something down there. But nice to connect with people around the world too.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
People move around. So.
Yeah. Well, Desi Ste. Marie, there's a little sales podcast for you. We went for about an hour there.
Are we started? Are we taping?
Yeah, we're taping. Are we taping this, Matt?
Yeah.
So, hey, thanks for coming on the show, Desi.
You're welcome. You're in sales, aren't you, though?
Oh, a little bit, every now and then. Sold a couple deals this week, son.
Nice.
That's right, buddy.
Cha-ching.
Oh, yeah.
Someone getting paid.
Oh, yeah. I got a couple big ones on the cooker right now, too. It's going to be a good July. Going to be a good finish to July. Boom, boom, boom. Yeah,
nice, man.
I love a good deal.
And ultimately it's not sales. It's pulling a deal together. And I think everybody, especially people not in sales, can appreciate that. When you're throwing a good party, you're pulling the deal together.
I could celebrate more. That's one of the things I could do. I could celebrate more. I don't celebrate enough.
You know what? I think I had my first career for first 5 years I didn't celebrate at all. It was just too much. It was too business. No, I know I just made $1,000, but I should be making 10. And the word should kept getting in my way.
Yeah, it should.
And it's like, how can you celebrate if you should always be something you're not?
Sometimes
take a win.
Yeah. You know, it's funny. Like I've had that problem my whole career that I haven't celebrated enough. I've done so many things, like a U.S. patent. I have a U.S. patent. Never celebrated getting it. Like, it's crazy. Like, I never threw a party, never popped the champagne, nothing. Just got it. Yep, there it is.
Ever went out and bought yourself a new suit or?
No. Got it. Next. Got it. Next.
Yeah.
But it's like now that I'm reflecting a little bit. I'm kicking 41 now next month, 2 months. I'm thinking, you know what I got to do? Just celebrate every little victory along the way. Why not?
Some people see life that way. Take a victory, celebrate, just a series of work. It's the way our culture lays out the work week, right? Celebrate those weekends. Don't work on the weekends.
You get your nose to the grindstone for so long. It's hard to get your nose off the grindstone sometimes.
My cousins who are farmers, they say, never work on a Sunday. You got to rest. You got to take a day no matter what you have to do or even if the conditions are perfect for haying or whatever. No working on Sunday. Rest.
Yes.
Do something else.
Yes.
Enjoy yourself. You must, because the farming, when you make hay when the sun shines, and if it's been raining all week but it's sunny on Sunday, still no. Insist.
Pulling back from the edge.
Insist on having a day and treat yourself to relaxation.
Sure.
Or celebration, I guess. So.
And on that note, I'm gonna go relax.
You should.
Thanks for coming on the show, Desi.
My pleasure, Michael. Thank you.
Go to getagripstudios.com, folks. Why? Are you interested in starting your own show? Have you ever thought, God, you know what? I really want to start a podcast, but I just don't have the time. I don't have all the equipment. It's too hard. Back in the old days, it was easy, but now it's hard because you have to do video and audio and produce it, and you got to find sponsors. And come to Get a Grit Studios. You should record a show. Try it out. Get it off your bucket list. And if it's off your bucket list, keep it off your fuck it list and put it on your I'm going to do a podcast list, folks. Because you know what? It's fun as heck, and you can make money doing it if you're good. So if you think you have a shot, hey, try us out. Come on in, sit down, do a podcast. You can do a podcast with me if you want to. I'll do it, but maybe it'll go on the live show. You can try it out. So go to getagripstudios.com, baby. Talk to Matt. Talk to me. And we'll tell you how we did it. I get paid to be a podcaster, and I get paid pretty well to be a podcaster. Isn't that nuts? Wow, it's fun as heck. 41 years young, and I finally got it going the way I want to go. So now I have a platform where I can... Actually, a platform where I can listen to other people's views. That's actually really why I do it. I don't care about what I think. I already know what I think. But I love to listen to what other people think. So that's what the life show is about. We thank Desi Ste for coming on the show. Desi, you're the bomb of sales. You're also a bit of a comedian too, which was fun to be with and hang out with. So it was fun. It was funny. I learned something, and I always learn something when I hang out with you, Desi. You should start your own podcast, you son of a gun. But for the rest of you, go to getagripstudios.com, Get a Grip on Life. Follow me on Twitter, on Instagram, and I'm going to do Facebook too soon. So, coming for you, Mark Zuckerberg. That's right. And if you really like us, I'd appreciate if you told a friend about the Get a Grip on Life podcast. If you were thinking, hey, you know what, that Colligan guy, I really hate him, but I love him. I love to hate him. I hate to love him. Whatever it is, if you think that this show is worthwhile and fun to listen to, send it to a friend. Send it over to a friend. But pick an episode, Maybe the really popular one was Luke Sellers, the ontological coach, my spiritual guide. Luke Sellers, another good one. This one, Desi Ste. If you're into sales or whatever, there's so many I can't even remember them anymore. Danny Woodrow, the comedian, that one's great too. There's lots of good stuff. Well, I think it's good. So send it to a friend if you like it. Share it out there. I really appreciate that. Send out to push it forward. So thanks, folks, for listening. Get a grip on life. Follow me. I'm going to do this thing. Bye for now.